here we are, everybody. Back at the old home office in Wimberley, Texas on Sunday afternoon here, Sunday night in Europe. It might be Monday morning over in East Asia. All right, I'm so glad you could join us. We've got people checking in from New Jersey, from Terrell, Texas, from LaSalle, Illinois, from Newcastle, UK, the Netherlands, Harlow, UK, Hotlanta, Nottingham, UK. Lots of UK people. Good to see you. All right, we got a really big show here tonight, to quote, what's his name? All righty. Quote old Ed Sullivan, we got a really big shoe. I've been working hard on this show. It's going to be a double-length show. It's going to be probably 2 hours, I think, because I'm taking next month off to try to write songs. But here we are, the live stream January. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Glad you could join us live. Karen is on the chat on Facebook and YouTube. I'll be looking at the YouTube chat once in a while, but I don't really get to read most of those things. If you want to leave me a message in the comments on YouTube, I'll get to those eventually. But wow, a lot has happened in the month since we've been together. A new year, a new president, a new direction for the country. A good time to do a song about new beginnings called This Morning I'm Born Again. This was requested by Rick Converse, Todd Sinclair, Karen Hood, and Adam Law in Oz. This morning I was born again, and a light shines on my land. I no longer look for heaven in your deathly distant land. I do not want your pearly gates, I don't want your streets of gold. This morning I was born again, and a light shines in my soul. This morning I was born again, I was born again complete. I stood up above my troubles, and I stand on my 2 feet. My hand, it feels unlimited, my body feels like the sky. I feel at home in the universe where yonder planets fly. This morning I was born again, my past is dead and gone. This great eternal moment is my great eternal dawn. Each drop of blood within me, each breath of life I breathe, is united with these mountains, and the mountains with the seas. I feel the sun upon me, its rays crawl through my skin. I breathe the life of Jesus and old John Henry, and I give myself, my heart, my soul, to give some friend a hand. This morning I was born again, I am in the promised land. This morning I was born again, and a light shines on my land. I no longer look for heaven in your deathly distant land. I do not want your pearly gates, I don't want your streets of gold. I do not want your mansion, for my heart is never cold. Checking the chat here, making sure everyone can hear. Can everybody hear okay? Do we have any glitches? I don't see anybody complaining. Greetings from DC, West Bath, Maine, San Antonio. Looks like everyone's checked in and having fun. Glad to see that. All right, I gotta tune this string up here. Of course, that's a song I wrote with Woody Guthrie, you know. Karen bought this book for me as a Christmas present, our second Christmas together, 1990. And there's some material in here, Woody Guthrie letters and drawings and photographs and diary entries and all sorts of stuff. And in the margins of one of the pages, page 27, I saw these lyrics and I said, man, those would make a good song. I don't know if Woody put music to them when he was alive or whether it was just a poem. I don't think anyone really knows. But I put these words to music. Actually, he wrote a version in 1939 and then some more words in 1945. And I put them to music, and I sang them at a Woody Guthrie tribute show in Austin. I was the new kid in town, so I wanted to impress everyone and sing a Woody Guthrie song no one had ever heard before. So I showed up with This Morning I'm Born Again, the world debut. And there were only about 5 people in the audience because I was the first one to go on. But after I played This Morning I'm Born Again at Lozona Rosa, at Greg Johnson's Woody Guthrie tribute, I think it was the second annual maybe, this scruffy guy came up to me in a biker jacket and a red bandana. And he had round glasses and kind of shaggy hair and a deep voice. And he leaned up close to me and put his hand on my shoulder. And he said, "Kid, I really like what you're doing there. You're gonna make it someday," or something like that. He walked away, and one of my friends hustled up to me and said, "Do you know who that was?" I said, "No." "That was Ray Wiley Hubbard." I'd never met Ray before, and that was my first meeting with Ray, is him telling me that I had something going, kid. So that meant a lot. And he's been a great supporter of mine over the years. And by the way, Ray Wiley Hubbard made his debut on Austin City Limits this weekend. So if you haven't seen it yet, check your PBS listings. All right, hello from St. Helens, Lancashire, Epping, Essex, Prescott, Arizona. Lots of UK people. That's so great. Someone says, "Didn't realize you wanted us to complain." All right, people are goofing, people are having fun. I'm glad to see that. Alrighty, moving on here. Next song is for Brett Christmas, all the way up in Cape Breton Island, Canada. I've never been up there. I've been up to Canso, as far as close as I've gotten to Cape Breton Island. Brett wanted to hear a song that I wrote in the early days. We're going to be doing a lot of songs from my early days in Austin, my first couple of years. In Texas, I was doing a lot of songwriting, but Karen and I lived in a tiny little apartment building in a complex, so I didn't feel comfortable singing and writing at home, so I would get in my car. This is kind of an accurate scene. You can see over my right shoulder, that's our 74 Dodge Dart Sport that we moved to Texas in. And after we got settled, I'd drive out in that car with a packed lunch, a brown paper bag lunch, and a blanket, and I told Karen I wouldn't come home until I'd written a song. And I wrote about a dozen songs that way over my first couple years in Texas, including this one called Another Man's Wealth. And I haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to get my cheat sheet up just in case I struggle. Now, do I do this in the other? Sam Nolan's a rancher in Lino, where he succeeds or he fails on his own, depending on only the sun and the rain to keep his family farming home. Through flood and drought he's unshaken, never cursing the hand he's been dealt, and he never once thinks of walking away to go to work for another man's wealth. Here in the home of the brave, this world is still made up of kings and slaves, and a man who can work for himself will never be content to go to work for another man's wealth. Never owned a brand new car, no insurance, no benefit plans, always one step ahead of disaster, but your time is your own and no other man's. If this is the life that you've chosen, You count on no one by yourself. You'd rather sleep on the street, eat your dinner from a dumpster, than to work for another man's wealth. On a rolling Texas prairie, the sweet smell of crude in the air. Over a long, lonesome horizon, the sun shines down on the wicked and the fair. In this land of dreamers and demons, you count on no one but yourself. Are you ready for that roll of the dice now? Or will you work for another man's wealth? 'Cause here in the home of the brave, this world is still made up of kings and slaves, and a man who can work for himself will never be content to go to work for another man's wealth. Some others may be content, but I swear I never work for another man's wealth. Song I wrote probably 1992, 93, something like that. Going back into the archives for this show, folks. I spent a lot of time rehearsing. Got one that was requested for Ross and Sue. They requested this a few months ago. I hope they're still hanging with us. The song happens to be the very first song that I wrote with old Rod Picott. We talked about his record. Rod put out a CD of all 25 songs that we wrote together over the last 30 years or so. I think we probably wrote this song in the late 80s, 88, 89, something like that. We were thinking about our childhood, where we grew up in this little town in Maine, trying to think of what to write about. We thought about this local construction company. They sponsored our Little League team. Actually, it was minor league. We were like 8 years old when we were on the Mick Construction minor league team. I have a trophy here because we won something. I couldn't find the trophy. It's around here somewhere. But Mick Construction was a little family company. And two of Mr. Mick's sons we went to school with. I think one was a grade behind us and one a grade ahead of us. And they were rough and tumble kids. They were tough. They weren't mean, but if you looked at their girlfriend the wrong way, you were in trouble. And they were strong kids. They seemed like men to us. Rod and I were these scrawny little artist types. But anyway, we were fascinated with these guys whose dad owned a construction company. And actually, you know what? I looked them up. Well, first of all, Rod and I noticed that whenever we saw dump trucks and equipment that said Mick Construction, it seemed like they were always tearing things down. And I went online, and sure enough, Mick Construction is still in business. And their top, if you look at their top two items of expertise are crusher work and demolition. So yeah, I guess we were right. That's kind of their specialty, and they're still around. I imagine the sons are running the company now. I'm glad to see they're still going. All righty. All right, Wrecking Ball by Slaid Cleaves and Rod Picott. Daddy swings a wrecking ball through factories and crumbling walls. He's proud of his construction company. Well, I have seen and heard the sounds when people's dreams crash to the ground, and a vacant lot is all there's left to see. Someday I'll work for Daddy's company. Now Father's house is not his home. At night he leaves us all alone. searching for someone to call him wrong. The Cartier Club knows him well. He's not afraid to give some hell. And every Friday, blue lights bring him home. And those dead machines and weeds now fill vacant lots that Daddy built. Someday I'll work for Daddy's company. Play it, Slaid. Now I swing this wrecking ball through factories and crumbling walls. I'm proud of this construction company. I've got a wife, I've got a son. At night I dream that I can run away from all that Daddy left to me. And those dead machines and weeds now fill vacant lots that Daddy built. Someday I'll work for Daddy's company. Someday I'll work for Daddy's company. Wrecking Ball for Ross and Sue. You know, when I was rehearsing that song, I think Rod and I were doing a little bit of projecting when we were writing that song 30 years ago. I think we were looking at our own dads and saying, that's not the life for me. And that's what set us on our path. But yeah, those Mick guys, you want to stay away from them if you didn't want to get beat up. I remember, I think Dave Mick was the older one, and he was so strong. He was so tough. I remember at some kind of bonfire at the high school after a football game, one of the events at the homecoming was somebody donated an old car. And for $5, this was a fundraiser, for $5, you could take 5 whacks with a sledgehammer on the car. Because that's what we do in Maine for fun 30 years ago. So I remember I saw a couple of my classmates pick up this 9-pound hammer and try to put a dent into the fender. But, you know, it was an old car, so it was tough old metal car. Not much happened, not much damage. But then Dave Mick slapped his $5 down on the hood, and he picked up that sledgehammer, and it was like he was picking up a feather duster. He just went whack, 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 and tore the fender to pieces and walked away. That was the kind of guy that we went to high school with. And ask Greg Nettles. Greg Nettles got beat up by Dave Mick in a gravel pit one time for looking at his girl the wrong way. So watch out. All right, enough stories about South Berwick. We're going to move on. We're going to go... Where are we going next? Hold on a minute. We're going even farther back in time. We're going to do a song that John asked for way back in April, I think, when I first started soliciting requests. John wanted to hear my first real song. And that was a tricky one because there were 2 or 3 songs I wrote for a band called Still Missing that I was in my freshman year of college. But one was called Executive. It was an anti-capitalist song that I wrote after working at Sears and having a bad experience there with the executives. But I couldn't find copies of those songs. They might exist somewhere, but I don't have them. But the oldest song I have a copy of is something that I recorded with the Moxie Men in 1989. It's called Don't Say No. And it's a song that I wrote originally. I wrote the first version of this in Cork, Ireland, when I was a busker there. I got to switch guitars here for this one. These songs, a couple of songs I'm going to do are so old that I can't do them in the original key, so I had to detune a guitar into a lower key so I could manage this. So that's me busking in Cork, Ireland. My buddy Bill McCann on the right on the penny whistle, a fellow American student. And in the middle is our friend Tony, who was our Pachine connection. He got us some Irish moonshine to take home and smuggle home with us on our way home at the end of the semester. Here's a little picture of my diary that I kept for 3 or 4 years. I put all my heartbroken thoughts into this diary, and it looks like I just wrote these 3 verses down without stopping to edit or anything. I just wrote them down all at once. The song wasn't quite finished when I graduated from college a year or so later. I added a couple of lines that were in our commencement speech. Gloria Steinem gave us our commencement speech, and she ended up with the phrase, "Because life is time and time is all there is." And I thought, oh, that's a good little phrase to keep in mind going through life. And it holds up pretty well all these years later. So here's a song I used to do with the old Moxie Men. This is the oldest song that I could come up with for John. Hope he's still hanging out with us. So many voices never heard, too many thoughts never seen, never known. Behind each face there is a world. How many worlds have you seen today? Don't say maybe, don't say no. And don't you wait another day, oh, day, oh. Too many words to even start. So many reasons to doubt it all. Too many tears within one heart. Ever reaching eyes that forever stay wide. Don't say maybe, don't say no. And don't you wait another day, oh, day, oh. 'Cause when you look up, you will find that life is time and time is all there is. So many voices never heard, too many thoughts never seen, never known. Behind each face there is a world. How many worlds have you seen today? Is there a bridge between two hearts? Wash away our words before they're spoken out aloud. I thought that we could do much better now. Don't say maybe, don't say no. And don't you wait another day. Life is time and time is all there is. Is all there is. Is all there is. All there is. All right, I see everybody that I'm frozen up. I think that's on my end. Let me try to fix something here. I think I gotta restart my camera. My camera's kind of funky. Bear with me just a second. There we go. We've got kind of an old digital SLR that we actually had to hack in order to be able to use it. We should have just sprung on one, but we didn't know in April how long this is going to last. Anyway, we're back and running now. So Don't Say No, a song I wrote in 1985. I was 20 years old. Wow, 20 years old when I wrote the first part of that. We're going to stay back in this time frame now when I finished college. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to mention. All right, this is a guitar you probably haven't seen yet. This is a guitar I haven't used in the live streams. This is my sort of songwriting and office guitar. I tuned it down a half step so I could do these older songs and these songs written in a young voice that I'm singing in an old voice now. But there's also a really cool addition to this guitar is a strap. This is a strap that my mother wove. She was an expert weaver years ago. And it says Slaid and the Moxie Men is what it says. Oh, there's the back. It's the Moxie Men part here. If you can see it. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but trust me, Slaid and the Moxie Men. And I never wore it at gigs because when she gave it to me 25 years ago, you know, I was just starting out and trying to be cool. And it's not cool to wear a strap that your mom made you. I'm sorry, but it's cool now. I'm 56 years old. I can wear the strap my mom made me. And also, well, it's my mom's birthday on Tuesday. So we're sending out a couple of songs special for Jenny Cleaves. I've got a cool picture of her. Well, wait a minute. I got to back up just a minute. Here is a little bit about this guitar. This is a guitar made by William Russo in Western Maine. He has a shop there. He makes custom guitars. He makes guitar kits so you can make your own guitar. He even does a workshop where you can come to Wilton, Maine and stay for a few days. Beautiful part of Western Maine up by Freiburg, I think. And he'll help you make your guitar. So all you wannabe guitar luthiers, check out wrcustomguitars.com. That's William Russo made this guitar. And so we're going to do a couple songs from my mom. Here's a picture of my mom in a location that's been in our minds and in our hearts the last few weeks. That's my Aunt Ethel on the left with my cousin Michael Slaid Tincher in her lap. And my mom on the right, she's about 16 years old there. And here's my mom a couple years ago, Mother's Day, when I went to visit her. And she was showing me how well her flowers were coming in there in her house in Round Pond, Maine. I asked Mom if she wanted to hear a song. And she asked to hear a song called For the Brave, which is, yes, I want this guitar. I got to keep track of which guitar goes to which song. For the Brave. Oh, I got to get my lyrics up just in case. I don't trust myself. When you don't play every night, you forget the songs real quick. You got off to a pretty good start. You were on your way, with big plans and an open heart, working hard every day. But the storms came one by one, big plans come a-crashing down. You started losing faith in everyone around. So you hide your broken heart with a smile, pretending that there's nothing wrong. Brother, won't you trust me for a little while? Listen to my song. There will be better days. For the brave, there will be better days. I know this world moves way too fast. It's hard to find steady ground. Life just keeps on slipping past. It's gone without a sound. I see you walk with your head hanging low. You stopped even wondering why. No longer trying to win. You're happy just to get by. So you hide your broken heart with a smile, pretending that there's nothing wrong. Brother, won't you trust me for a little while? Listen to my song. There will be better days for the brave. better days. There will be better days. For the brave, there will be better days. There will be better days. For the brave, there will be better days. For the brave, for Jenny Cleaves in Round Palm, Maine. Happy birthday, happy early birthday, Mom. Alrighty. And a couple days ago, Mom called and added another song to her request list, and I know why. All right, going back to about 1989, 1990. I was playing with my band, the Moxie Men. We got a picture of them on? There's a picture of the Moxie Men. Pip Walter, Mark Cousins, my brother Jay Cleaves, and myself. About 1990 there. In Portland, there were a few newspaper stories about a developer and a landlord named Michael Liberty. One thing he did was, in some sneaky way, he got a hold of some wharf property and bought it from fishermen and turned it into condos for the yuppies. And there was a big uproar about that because it made it really hard for the fishermen in the working waterfront. And then I heard he was raising the rents on a mobile home park outside of town that actually my friend Mark Farrington, his parents lived in, and he confirmed that he raised the rent every year, and he wasn't paying the city utility bills or something, and he was trying to force the tenants to pay the fines incurred by the city, or fines imposed by the city. So anyway, this guy was he was a jerk, and so I wrote a song about him in 1990. Let's see. I haven't done this in a long time, 20, 25 years probably. Upside down Robin Hood, he gives to the rich, takes from the good. You work for a living the American way, the big men try to take it away. People getting up, taking a stand, liberty's got a fight on his hands. Too much liberty in this town, not enough justice to go around. You can buy your freedom, you can buy time. If you got enough cash, you can even buy the law. You can commit the foulest robbery, but even if your name is liberty, you can't buy justice, justice for all. He's the man in charge, he can raise the rent in 4 years up 86%. I don't care if my tenants bark, I'll make their home an industrial park. The investors pocket great returns while every tenant's pocket burns with the stinging pain of robbery, courtesy of Michael Liberty. You can buy your freedom, you can buy time. If you got enough cash, you can even buy the law. You can commit the foulest robbery, but even if your name is liberty, you can't buy justice, justice for all. Rent goes up and the service is down, liberty stops paying the towns, as the tenants now must pay the fines. Let them plug their sewer lines. How could such a cruel man hold the lives of people in his hands? Too much liberty in this town, not enough justice to go around. I went to the landlord for a break. This heating bill I just can't take. There's holes in the ceiling, gaps in the floor, broken windows, cracks in the floor. The manager puffed his big cigar, says that's just the way we landlords are. Sounds pretty heartless and cruel to me. Must be friends with Michael Liberty. You can buy your freedom, you can buy time. If you got enough cash, you can even buy the law. You can commit the foulest robbery, but even if your name is liberty, justice, justice for all, justice for all, justice for all. That's a song I wrote about Michael Liberty 30 years ago. Turns out he was in the news a few years ago. He actually went to jail for illegal campaign contributions for a couple of months. And just last year, where are my notes? I want to get this right. Just last year, he was indicted by a federal grand jury in Portland, Maine for allegedly bilking 200 individual investors out of $55 million in some scheme. So I guess I called this guy right 30 years ago. Once a scumbag, always a scumbag. And guess who got a presidential pardon on Tuesday? I'm going to have to start doing that song every night now, I think. All right, I'm going to check the chat and see what people are talking about. 3 chords and the truth. Happy birthday, dear Jenny, from Tina Holmes. Oh, that's my cousin, the actress, Prudence Wright Holmes. Nice to see you, Tina. And my sister Libby is there. Hey, Libby. Azim Barras, he's from Turkey. I know that. Nice to see you. Arlene Smith, she's on with us almost every month. All right, Sean Allowan. We got one coming for Sean Allowan, I think, coming up right now. Coming up. All right. Alrighty, we're going to do a couple songs by friends of mine. This first one, let's see, I got to switch guitars, so I'm going to, let's see, what am I going to do? I'm going to switch my scene. Oh yeah, we're going to do a song that I first heard at Sarah Elizabeth Campbell's Bummer Night at Art's Rib House on a Monday night many years ago. I got a picture of good old Sarah. We sure do miss her. That's Sarah Campbell. If you don't know Sarah, as we used to call her, she was an incredibly gifted songwriter and singer with a beautiful, natural, effortless, smoky voice, and a cool band. She was just a great part of being in Austin, was getting to know Sarah Elizabeth, and she was sassy too. One time I showed up at Art's Rib House. This is the Art's Rib House gang. Sadly, a few of them have passed on by now, but it was like family every Monday night with Sarah Elizabeth and the band and the Arts crowd and the Arts staff. It was just a really beautiful thing for a few years. I was the sound guy, so I'd be there just about every week, every Monday, before I was touring. I get $35 and a meal of my choice. This is actually my choice meal that I found online. Baby back ribs, best ones I've ever had in my life. And ranch beans and coleslaw. And oh, I'm getting hungry just looking at that. But Sarah would play every Monday night, and after 40 minutes, she'd take a break to go out and smoke a cigarette on the patio with the band. And a guest would come out and sing. And one time, a guest showed up, and she was about 19 years old, I think. She was new in town. Her name was Anna Aggie, and she blew everyone away, and she became a regular fixture at Bummer Night for a long time. And one night, I heard her debut a song there at Art's Rib House that just blew me away, and I learned it, and I recorded it for the Unsung album. And I got to get my capo set up here, but check out Anna Aggie, a very fine singer-songwriter. This one I don't do very often, so I gotta be careful here. Make sure I get it set up right. All right, this is Fairest of Them All, and this goes to Aaron and Sean, who asked for this song several months ago. Sorry I didn't get it to now, but got a lot of catching up to do. Fairest of Them All. Frances Baker was a red-eyed woman. She was wanted in 15 states. dress was torn right at the shoulder, resulting from her escape. She wanted love, she wanted fame, she got it all, even her name. In a concrete star on the corner of the street, where real life and the movies meet, real life and the movies meet. Oh, let me be in the city of angels. Yes, this is what I want. To put on my dress and some red, red lipstick. Let all the people watch me as I walk. Up in Vegas where the neon screams loud as the traffic in her nylon seams. She ran away to the circus. She wears high heels like in her dreams. Down the catwalk with her long cigarette hanging from her pretty pouting lips. She's gonna be famous, she's gonna be rich. Rockabye baby, rockabye bitch. Rockabye baby, rockabye. Oh, let me be in the city of angels. Yes, this is what I want. To put on my dress and some red, red lipstick. Let all the people watch me as I walk. In the lamplight of a motel room, she rides home to the moon. Say goodnight to my old bedroom. I'll be home to visit someday soon. I'll be home to visit someday. Now she knows she's got it all. She does her cocaine in the hall. No more hiding in the bathroom stall, for she is the fairest of them all. She is the fairest of them all. Fairest of Them All by Anna Agee. I hope she's doing well. I haven't seen her in a long time. Oh boy. All right, I've got some good stuff coming up here. So right around this time, the late 90s, I had a record deal with Rounder. I put out the No Angel Knows record. But I still was having a hard time building an audience. So my booking agent and the record label fixed me up with a couple of road veterans that kind of showed me the ropes. One was Ray Wiley Hubbard, who taught me so many things and was so gracious and welcoming and supportive of me as I opened up shows for him around the country and over in Europe. Really helped me build up my stage show, learned from Ray how to talk to an audience, how to set up songs in a fun way. Got the idea of an audience participation part that I use in Breakfast in Hell. That came from Ray Wiley Hubbard's show back then. Another guy I learned a lot from was Fred Eaglesmith, another consummate showman who doesn't just do a bunch of songs. He presents a show. He has a persona and an outfit. Let's see, do I have an outfit? Here's Fred, one of his later outfits. He got the welding goggles, I guess, and the top hat. Anyway, that's Fred, one of my favorite writers around this time. He put out a record called Drive-In Movie that still remains one of my all-time favorite records of all time. When I hooked up with Fred, he's been through a whole bunch of band members over the years. When I played with Fred, it was with Willie P. Bennett, the late Willie P. Bennett, a consummate musician and good guy, and Washboard Hank, who was a percussionist and sort of provided the comic relief. There's Washboard and his homemade percussion equipment there with a cymbal on his head and horns and bells and the washboard and all sorts of stuff. He's a good guy. Even he set me up in a shared hotel room with Washboard Hank one time when I went on the road and got to ride the bus with Fred Eaglesmith and the band. Here's a picture of Washboard with his dog, more recent picture. Washboard told me some stories, some bedtime stories in the hotel rooms. I can't tell them all now, but I'll just tell you the punchline of each one. One of them involves some serious drinking and driving and partying with a buddy, screaming through the north woods of Canada on a dark, foggy night and going off the end of a road and flying into the air and landing in some trees. And when they came to, they poked each other and realized that they were alive. And Hank opened up the door to the car, stuck his foot out, and there was nothing there. He realized he was 15 feet in the air. And so the next day they had to figure out how to get their car out of the trees. The other story Hank told me was about he was opening a tour for Stompin' Tom Connors, the legendary Stompin' Tom up in Canada. If you don't know Stompin' Tom, check him out. He's kind of a Woody Guthrie type character. He only wrote songs about Canadian people and Canadian events, and he only played in Canada. Didn't want to have anything to do with America, with the United States. But apparently he was kind of curmudgeon, but Washboard Hank got a hotel room. I think they were playing the hotel all week long, and Hank was allowed a hotel room, but he couldn't let his dog into the room, so his dog had to stay outside. But for some reason, the only thing Hank had to feed his dog was a horse leg that somebody gave him. And so he was keeping the horse leg under the bed in the hotel, and the chambermaid found it and told the management, and they kicked him out of the hotel. And so I think he had to sleep in his car after that or something. Anyway, I heard lots of good stories from Washboard Hank, and that was really, Fred and the gang treated me real well. I could tell more stories, but I got to get going here. So we'll do a Fred Eaglesmith song by request for my old friend John Fensel. Hope you're tuning in, John. And for Marcy and David Langrock, who I'm gonna have a little toast to Marcy and David. They invited us to come play for them out in the Seattle area. I got a commemorative glass out of the gig. It says, Marcy and David 100th celebration. I don't know what that means. Anyway, they're fun people, and they asked to hear this song by Fred Eaglesmith. So, to Marcy and David, hope you're watching today. First time I heard this song, I was mad. I thought, God dang, I should have written this song because it fits me to a T. 16 miles from Arkadelphia, right near the Texas border. Traffic stopped at a railway crossing. I took it to the shoulder. I stoked the kettle, I put it to the middle. I shook the gravel loose. I missed the train, but I was happy with a glimpse of the caboose. 'Cause I like trains, I like fast trains, I like trains that call out in the rain. 'Cause I like trains, and I like sad trains, I like trains that whisper your name. I was born on a Greyhound bus, my mama was a diesel engine. They tried to put me behind the wheel, but I wouldn't let them. You should have seen the look in her eyes and how it turned to tears when I finally told them I wanna be an engineer. 'Cause I like trains, and I like fast trains, I like trains that call out in the rain. And I like trains, and I like sad trains, I like trains that whisper your name. How you think that I found someone new, but darling, that ain't true. I could never love another woman besides you. It's not some dewy-eyed darling, that's gonna drive you insane. But anymore, I'd be listening for a sound of a big old train. 'Cause I like trains, I like fast trains, I like trains that call out in the rain. 'Cause I like trains, and I like sad trains, I like trains that whisper whisper your name. I like drinks that whisper your name. All right, a little Fred Eaglesmith for you there, folks. Speaking of Canadians, the next song coming up by request is about a Canadian hero. And I'll tell you, it was when I was opening shows for Fred and the band. That was around the time that I finished up the song Breakfast in Hell and started playing it at my shows. And the band heard this song, and they were mad. They were crestfallen, not mad at me, but mad that they, as Canadians, had not written this song, that an American had written this song about a Canadian hero, this amazing story. I'm going to do something totally different here now. When I was doing research for this week's show, again, this is a double-sized show. We're not even halfway through, so pace yourselves, everybody. Oh, by the way, I noticed that I see we got 183 people watching on YouTube. That's awesome. But only 82 people have hit the thumbs up button just below the video. If you scroll down just below the video, there's a thumbs up, a little icon. If you click on it, if you give me a thumbs up, YouTube will show this to more people over the next days and weeks. That's very helpful, so please do that. Oh man, there it goes already. It's starting to go up. All right, we'll see how many thumbs up we could get. When I was doing research for this show, I came across some archival footage, me on a radio station, KEOS, yes, KEOS FM in Bryan, Texas. 3 shows, 97, 98, and 99. And in 98, I did a very early version of Breakfast in Hell, which was almost talked and not spoken and not sung. And then a cool version from 99 where I developed the melody somewhat, but it's not exactly what the melody turned out to be. So it's a proto-melody, and one of the verses is quite a bit different too. So I'm going to play that archival footage of the radio station recording of Breakfast in Hell from 1999, before Broke Down came out, when the song was still being developed. And we'll play a little montage of Sandy Gray Falls and other famous log jams while we listen to the song. Let's cross our fingers and see if this works. I just happened to be staying with a friend up in Canada last summer and heard this story about a little local legend, and just sounded like the perfect material for a folk song. In the melting snows of Ontario, where the wind will make you shiver, 'twas the month of May up in Georgian Bay, near the mouth of the Musquash River, where the bears prowl and the coyotes howl, and you can hear the osprey scream. Back in 99 we were cutting pine, sending it down the stream. Big Sandy Gray came to go home Bay, all the way from PEI, where the land is rough and the weather's tough and no one's afraid to die. Sandy came a-smiling, 30,000 Islands was a place to claim his glory. Now Sandy's gone, but his name lives on. This is Sandy's story. Young Sandy Gray lives on today in the echoes of a mighty elm. Listen close and you'll hear a ghost in the story that I tell, boys, the story that I tell. One fateful day, Big Sandy Gray came to camp with a peavey on his shoulder, and his big buck saw and a face so raw you'd swear he was 10 years older. Said, come on all you, we got work to do, we gotta give her all we can give her. There's a jam of logs at the little jog near the mouth of the Musquash River. Well, a dozen men and Sandy then ran down to the seething mass. They never had seen one so bad, they knew this could be their last. They poked with their poles and ran with the rolls and tried to stay on their feet. Every trick they tried, one man cried,
Slaw jams got us beat. But Sandy Gray was not afraid, and he let out a mighty yell. I'll be damned to break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. Breakfast in hell. Well, every one of the men did the work at 10, and Sandy scrambled up to the top. He's working like a dog, even 30-foot logs, and it looked like he'd never stop. Yeah, they struggled on, these men so strong, till the jam began to sway. Then they dove for cover to the banks of the river, all except for Sandy Gray. Now with thoughts of death, they held their breath as they saw their friend go down. And they all knew in a second or two he'd be crushed or frozen or drowned. Yeah, they saw him fall, and they heard him call just once, then it was over. Young Sandy Gray gave his life that day near the mouth of the Musquash River. And Sandy Gray was not afraid, and he let out a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. Breakfast in hell. East Giant's tomb, there's plenty of room, there's no fences, no walls. And if you listen close, you'll hear a ghost down by Sandy Gray Falls. Through the tops of the trees, you'll hear in the breeze the echoes of a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell. And Sandy Gray lives on today in the echoes of a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. Breakfast in hell.
Pretty cool, huh? All right. I like doing this because I can sit and read the chat for a minute and see who's there. Marcy and David explained that the 100th celebration is they both turned 50 the same year, so 100th celebration to Marcy and David. All right. I see that Dom and Liz are watching from Newcastle, England, and old buddy Scott O'Connor from Arizona. Who else? Khalees, my senior year college flatmate from Electric Avenue in Somerville, Mass. Khalees Alcacir, I haven't seen him since graduation day. Hopefully I'll get to see him again someday soon. Khalees, I hope you're doing all right. And, Randy Dees, my neighbor outside of Wimberley. Good to see Randy. I've known him for a long time. Thank you so much, everybody, for chatting, and thanks for all those new thumbs up. We just got about 60 new thumbs up, so thanks, everybody. Oh, and some more people watching. See, it worked. The thumbs up meant that YouTube shares it to more people, and so people are coming on late. That's okay. Rabbi Paul is watching. Excellent. And his wife is harmonizing. Sweet. All right. All right, I got to move on. We got a big show to do here. I got to pace myself. Where are we now? We got a song for... Did I do I don't think I did the dedication to Breakfast in Hell. That was for Mark Holland, for his son Rory, a DJ, and for Venus Powell. The next song is for Starla from the Norfolk, Virginia area. She wanted to hear Black T-Shirt. Now, Black T-Shirt is a song that Rod Picott and I wrote with thoughts of thinking about growing up in this little town in Maine that was had some pretty rough and tumble characters, kids who would come to school smelling like wood smoke or smelling like cows because they had to milk cows before they got on the school bus. You know, this was the 1970s in rural Maine, and kids would show up with black eyes, and, you know, they were tough little kids. They weren't bad kids. They were as innocent as all of us, but they were growing up early, growing up quick, and they were tough. And that's what this song came from. And I'm going to show you a little 8mm movie that I made with some of my friends in 1978 or 79, probably freshman in high school maybe. Yeah, so probably 79. Made it with my parents' 8mm movie camera with my buddies Danny Goodrow and his little brother Guy, and Glenn Gagne. These are the guys I was hanging out with at the time. This is what we decided to make as we got together and made a film. Enjoy. It's called Rumble. Wow, what do you think of that? That's something else, isn't it? That's my dramatic film debut there. Again, that's Danny Goodrow, who sadly I heard news that he passed away last year. I hadn't been in touch with him for a long time. His little brother Guy. And Glenn Gagne, whose older brother was the valedictorian. Glenn was kind of a outlaw Spicoli type character. Very charismatic. I hope he's doing all right. Whoa. In your black t-shirt in the parking lot, in your drawn boots out back smoking pot, got a black eye and you wear it proud, Guns N' Roses way up loud. Just a little cut up on your brow, principal said don't come back now. Every night it's a screaming shout, there's a new boyfriend and he wants you out. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through. You hitchhike to work and you hitchhike back. Hope you're home before the sky goes black. Cars go by but they don't stop. These days no one picks you up. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through. Over the bridge to the Texaco, there's a guy works there you used to know. Well, he knows a dealer off the interstate. Now he got a plan in a 38. You know you're gonna pay for the things you do. You know what you'll put your mama through.
black t-shirt in the parking lot, in your drawn boots out back smoking pot. Black t-shirt for Starla. All right. I want to see the chat on the movie. Priceless. Yeah. People like the movie. Nice haymaker. Two buddies down. That's right. Old Danny Goodrow. Good guy walking into the sunset. Actually, it was the exposure of the film that he's walking into. Alrighty. We're going to wrap up this second set here. Going to do 3 more songs and take a quick break. Come back with another full set. Can you believe it? Yeah, we're going big time. Now, you don't have to watch it all now live. We want you to stay and watch it live if you can. But you can always hit pause and come back next month and watch the second half, because I'm not going to do a stream in February. I got to lay low and get going on some songs here. We got to write some new material. We're doing lots of old stuff this month. We're going to do some new stuff in March. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Get my notes here. We're going to do a song called Still Fighting the War that Ron Coy helped me write, Wranglin' Ron. This goes out to Lars Petter and Daniel Coombs, a retired Marine. Thank you, Daniel, for writing in. Hard times coming home now. Can't get your feet on the ground. Got some issues and no one to watch you around. Barely sleeping and you can't get through to the VA on the phone. No one's hiring and no one wants to give you a go. And everyone else is carrying on just like they've always done before. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. Flashback to Fallujah. Lost another best friend. 3 tours of duty and you're wondering when it's all gonna end. Bodies broken and bones shattered. Blood and dust in your mouth. Getting weary but you're running with the few and the proud. Sometimes you wonder why you went. You don't wonder what you stayed on for. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. Men go off to war for 100 reasons, but they all come home with the same demons. Some you can keep at bay for a while, some will pin you to the floor. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. The bedspread is frayed, faded and tearing apart. 2 strangers holding each other in the dark. Tell me, what were you dreaming? How did you think it would end? How many heroes are scattered out into the wind? And all the happily ever afters turn to broken dishes and slamming doors. You've been home for a couple of years now, buddy, but you're still fighting the war. Still Fighting the War for Lars Petter and Daniel Coombs. Thanks, guys. I'm going to do, in a minute here, we're going to take a little break and we're going to direct you over to the merch page. We have a new piece of merch, everybody. I'll show you the new piece of merch right here. That's the manufacturing in our own home of the songbook. Many years in the making. The pandemic has
given us the time at home to actually buckle down and finish this project. It took a long time for me to put the words together, the lyrics and the chord changes and all that stuff. But it's done. Here it is. This is the songbook, everybody. We just announced it last month on our mailing list. That's why you want to be on the mailing list, because they were the first people to get the first crack at the first batch of songbooks, the first edition here. And it's on a ring binder, so you can open it up and lay it flat. And each song takes up exactly 2 pages, so you don't have to flip. Every song is complete in an open page here. It's got, I think, 43 songs, something like that, all the most requested songs. All right, we're going to do 2 more songs before that, though. We're going to do For Matthew and from my old friend Donna D. I hope she's watching today. A song called Brother's Keeper. After my brother Jay stayed on our couch just a little too long. Frankie and Johnny were brothers, sharing chores on their daddy's farm, side by side, mending fences and pitching hay. Sometimes you'd catch them fighting, just wrestling behind the barn. Brothers' quarrel seldom lasts till the end of the day. Now the old man retired at 60, said, Frankie, it's all up to you. Johnny took it easy, Frank was up at first light of day. He said, Johnny, I ain't your keeper, there's plenty of work you can do. Johnny didn't budge, and that's when I heard Frankie say, love and hate have their own season. Remember Cain slew Abel for a reason. If I can love you like a brother, I can hate you too. I'm a passionate man, no telling what I'll do. Watch out, brother, get my eye on you. Now there's something between 2 brothers, something more than a couple of years. Johnny rose up and said, Frankie, you can go to hell. You're the boss 'cause you're 2 years older. If you were gone, I'd shed no tears. You keep dogging me, I'm about to ring your bell. Love and hate have their own season. Remember Cain slew Abel for a reason. If I can love you like a brother, I can hate you too. I'm a passionate man, no telling what I'll do. Watch out, brother, get my eye on you. My patience is worn out, just about through. Watch out, brother, get my eye on you. Watch out, brother, get my eye on you. Brother's Keeper for Matthew and my old friend Donna from Cork. All right, this is the last song we're going to do in this set. Take a very short break, like 5 minutes. We can stretch our legs, freshen our drinks, take a minute to check our merch page. This is a song for Diane Cahill. Wanted to hear a song called Whim of Iron, which is inspired by 2 women, one of whom at least is on the chat, my cousin Tina, who set out to be an actress at a high school in New York City in the early 70s, I think, and struggled, took any job she could get, was determined to be an actress, even though everyone in her family thought she wouldn't never make it. But I remember when cousin Tina got her big national break, we were told that she was going to be on this week's episode of Charlie's Angels, and we were allowed to stay up late in our jammies and watch cousin Tina, and there she was in the opening scene where she was thrown over the rail of the cruise ship to her death, thus setting in motion the mystery to be solved. And so she never really made it to the big time, but, she's a working actor in New York City now. She got to do a couple of scenes with Philip Seymour Hoffman in one of his final movies, and she was in the movie Sister Act and Kingpin. Bunch of good stuff. She was in the Coen Brothers thing that they put out on Netflix last year. So check her out. Prudence Wright Holmes is her professional name. My grandfather, her uncle, said of her when she was struggling so hard to be an actress and not giving up, he said to her, "Prudence, you have a whim of iron." So that was the inspiration for this song, but also my friend Deirdre Nice, who is a free spirit up in Portland, Maine. This is for these two A's. She had a whim of iron, you couldn't tell her no. And if you did, she'd prove you wrong and say, "I told you so." She'd get a big idea, friends would roll their eyes, and then she'd pull it off and no one else would even dare to try. She had a whim of iron, like the time she met this broke-down poet. He was a World War II vet. One day he proposed, and she said, "I do," to this gentle soul, and she didn't care that he was 92. She tried to buy the old church before they tore it down. She took up a collection all over town. She raised a couple million, fixed it up so nice. Now there's dancers and artists and singers where there used to be bats and mice. She ran for office once in the state of Maine. She said, "I'll bet I can't do worse than old what's-his-name." She shook things up for a little while, told the good old boys off good with a wink and a smile. She had a whim of iron, you couldn't tell her no. And if you did, she'd prove you wrong and say, "I told you so." She'd get a big idea, friends would roll their eyes, and she'd pull it off when no one else would even dare to try. She had a whim of iron, you couldn't tell her no. She had a whim of iron. All right, that's the end of the first set, everybody. Oh, let's see. If this was a normal show, it would be done now, but this is a double show, again, because I'm not doing a March show. I usually do these every month, but we're skipping, we're not doing February. We'll be back in March with a regular show. We're going to do a little intermission, just a little break to stretch our legs. And let's see, I plugged the songbook, and Karen's making them from scratch in the living room as we speak, I imagine. We got lots of requests still to come. We got some off the latest record, some oldies. The Saddest Song of All, Lydia by Karen Poston, coming up. Some birthday wishes and some serious yodeling. Oh, and I saw in the chat earlier that somebody liked my Sokolowski's t-shirt and lamented the fact that this great Polish deli restaurant in Cleveland was shut down by the pandemic. After 97 years, they couldn't make it through. Sorry to hear that about Sokolowski's, where you get your kielbasa and your kielbasa and pierogies and sauerkraut and borscht and all that stuff. It's a sad day. All right, I'm gonna put up the merch screen for a second. Slaid.com. Go over to the merch page. We'll make those songbooks just as quick as you order them and sign them too. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for the mic heads up. I hope you didn't hear the toilet flush there on the bathroom break. All right, well, we lost a few people, about 25 people, but most of the diehards are still with us. I can't believe we're only halfway through. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging with me through this double show here on the January live stream going around the world. I saw that somebody said they found a mistake in the songbook. Please let me know what the mistake is. We will do further editions in the coming years, new editions. And so if you get a songbook and you see a mistake or have a suggestion, let us know, and we'll put it in the next edition. All right, we're starting out the second set with a request for April Connell Roach and for old Joe Lewin. I didn't see him in the chat. Usually Joe's with us. Joe's one of my all-time greatest fans. Saw more broke down world tour shows than anybody else, I think. A song inspired by The Clash. It was inspired by this book, actually, one of the lines. With blood and bone and wood and steel. When I was 18 years old, I worked at Sears in the warehouse in a mall, the Fox Run Mall in Newington, New Hampshire, outside of Portsmouth. And I worked in the stockroom there, and on my break, I would go to the food court and grab a quick bite, and then on the way back to Sears, I would stop at the bookstore and pull this book off the shelves and look at these fascinating, wonderful pictures of a band on the road touring America for the first time. Just some of my favorite pictures of all time. I want to show one in particular, if I can find it, where they were showing, I thought I bookmarked it, but I didn't. Anyway, there's one picture of the guys on stage, blood and bone, and another picture of the guitars backstage, wood and steel. Blood and bone and wood and steel. That's all you need. All right. Last of the V8s.
In these hard times, everything's breaking, there ain't much left. Every seat's taken and you wonder why we seem a little down. Well, come with me, girl, and hold my hand, and we'll ride through this used up, forsaken land. I got a V8 engine, and I love to hear the sound. With blood and bone, and wood and steel, we fight against time, and it's a losing deal. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? Yeah, just one old man trying to figure why another's hand is ever on the trigger. He's tired of living under the gun. This world ain't ours, you know it well. We've been left with nothing but a story to tell, and we'll speak it softly to the streets of this broken town. With blood and bone, and wood and steel, we try to remember what we used to feel. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? Yes, our pride's been broke, our innocence stolen. There's not much hope, but we're not beholden to anyone here. We're all on our own. We'll keep on riding this junkyard machine as long as there's highways and cheap gasoline. We ain't finished yet, but we're still so far from home. With blood and bone, wood and steel, we fight against time, and it's a losing deal. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? We're the V8s, baby. We're the V8s now. We're the V8s now.
to the V8s, folks. From No Angel Knows, came out in 1997. Coming up, a song from the Broke Down album that came out in 2000, a special for Gemma and Gabriel, who wanted to play this song at their upcoming wedding. It was scheduled for March, but they had to postpone to September. Fingers crossed, guys. I hope everything goes well. Happy nuptials to you. Let's see, I'm going to do... what am I going to do there? Oh, yeah, I'm going to start this. Instead of... You're tired of watching my face for an hour and a half now, so I'm going to do another one of these montages while I play Horseshoe Lounge. Is that right? Yeah. Switch to the other guitar, so it'll be just a few seconds. All right, Horseshoe Lounge. Ricky got the quarters for the table and broke while I pulled hard on the sorrow and smoke. Raising up my bottle, I looked for a chance as you set your glass down on the bar with a glance at me down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Shuffleboard and neon light down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Cigarettes and whiskey tonight. Ricky said she's out of your league, let her go. As I watched you pick your partner on that old dance floor. I know it didn't work out the first time we tried, but I'd do anything to have you by my side again. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Peel the label off a Miller Lite. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge. I sit here thinking about you every night. Were you the one who faltered? Was I the one who strayed? Baby, God left us out of the plans he made. So here's to misbeginnings and things that never start, for these are the ghosts that run around in my heart. When I see that where I'm going isn't where I wanna be, I get the urge to look you up, see if you would come and meet me down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Hey buddy, have you got a light? Down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Just one more and I'll be alright. Everybody at home now. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge. Peel the label off a Miller Lite. Down at the Horseshoe Lounge. I sit here thinking about you every night. Ricky got the quarters for the table and broke while I pulled hard on the sorrow and smoke. Most of those shots were taken when we recorded Sorrow and Smoke live at the Horseshoe Lounge back in 2011, I think. Some of them I just got off the internet. Wrote that song with my old friend Karen Poston, and that's on the Broke Down record. And you know, Broke Down was a big deal for me. It sort of opened up the world of touring to me. I toured for 2 or 3 years pretty much straight after Broke Down came out in January of 2000, and I didn't have time to write. And after those 2 or 3 years, it was time to go home and write, and I didn't know what to write about. I kind of gave everything I had to those songs on Broke Down, and I guess that's why it was successful as it was. So I was like starting from scratch, and I thought, well, I'll just write sequels to all the Broke Down songs. So I wrote Drinkin Days with Karen Poston, and it's kind of the sequel to Horseshoe Lounge. Kind of. My drinking days are over, no more nights at the carousel. My buddies say they're gonna miss me, but who could ever tell?
I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. I used to hang at the Horseshoe. You'd see me spinning out the broken spoke. I'd take my gal down to Green Hall. We lived on whiskey and smoke. Don't know how it all started. Didn't mean to hurt no one. Some bad luck, what's done can't be undone. Well, it was way past midnight when it hollered out last call. I turned around and Wranglin' Ron was headed for a brawl. I didn't know that other guy was a cop. I guess I didn't care. And sometimes you gotta act like you got a pair. That's what Wranglin' Ron told me one night. My drinking days are over. No more nights at the carousel. No more fights, no more neon lights. I guess it's just as well. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. Well, I gotta ride out to Huntsville, and I'll be there for a while, staring out a mesh window, mile after mile. I don't have any regrets, well, maybe just a few. But a man's gonna do what he's gonna do. My drinking days are over. No more nights at the carousel. My buddies say they're gonna miss me. They can go to hell. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. I never knew what time it was till closing time came round. My drinking days are over, but I'm still trouble bound. My drinking days are over. My drinking days. Let's see, who's that go out to? It goes out to Vicky. Thanks, Vicky, for writing in. Drinking Days, that's I think the first song that Wranglin' Ron shows up in. He's a buddy of mine. He used to live in Wimberley. I first met him. He was the proprietor of Ski Shores, a very funky restaurant, bar, and marina on Lake Austin. That was a good place. Nothing like the smell of outboard exhaust and fryer liter grease. Reminds me of my childhood in Maine. Let's see. I think Wranglin' Ron heard me play that song at Green Hall. He heard his name mentioned. And then he started to solicit song ideas, usually leaving messages on my cell phone at all hours of the day and night. And most of them were, wacky and not very good, but once in a while he come up with a good idea. One of them he came up with, he was really excited about this couplet. He said, Slaid, you got to write this song based on these two lines. Where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? And at first I had absolutely no idea what to do with this little couplet, and I didn't have much hope for it. But I went off on a writing trip out in Cherokee, Texas, and I worked on it for a little while and made a little progress and then kind of hit a wall, and so I gave up for a while. I turned on the TV out there in the guest house and flipped around, and I came across the last third of Cool Hand Luke. So I watched Cool Hand Luke, and the song all kind of came together. It's called Tumbleweed Stew. I wrote it with Ron and with Michael O'Connor. And what key is this in? It starts with C, right? Well, I work as a hand in San Saba, fences and windmills to mend. I've been out on a crew, eating tumbleweed stew, 3 weeks in the rain and the wind. I got mud on my boots, mud and blood on my money, and I'm looking to head into town. But as soon as my truck rounds the corner, that old deputy is staring me down. Where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? If I get a wild hair, go off on the tear, I'm liable to end up alone. Nobody wants to run with me now, but I'm restless down to the bone. Where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? Old man, are you listening? 'Cause I'm down here asking you. I know you made me this way, so what do you expect me to do? That's the Cool Hand Luke part right there. Well, I rolled out of town with my paycheck, that snake blood running through my veins. I hooked up with a truckload of illegals and a pocket full of cocaine. We had us some fun, now I'm on the run, and I won't be coming back soon. It's just me and some rangy coyotes howling up at the cold desert moon. And where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? Nobody wants me hanging around, I guess I'll have to go it alone. I'll have to head down to the border, I guess, and I don't know when I'll be back home. Where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? And if I don't ever make it back, you can carve this down on my tombstone. Where can a good man go crazy? Where can a cowboy get stoned? Something like that. Old Wrangling Ron. That goes out to Warren and Tom and Jasmine way out in Reno. Again, Wrangling Ron helped me write that. And it's funny that 13, 14 years after Ron sent me that couplet, where can a good man go crazy? He figured it out. He's in Terlingua now. He's been all over the world, and he's in Terlingua now, and I think he's fitting right in. If you don't know about Terlingua, it's this way out of the way small town in the West Texas, Southwest Texas desert on the Rio Grande River, close to the Rio Grande. Big Bend National Park is nearby. Very desolate, very sparse. Lots of sort of outcasts and ne'er-do-wells out there. Not ne'er-do-wells, but just, people getting off the grid, expats from society. I sent Wrangling Ron a royalty check a couple of weeks ago. It was for like $6. Told him not to spend it all in one place. He texted me a picture of how he spent his money. He bought lunch in Terlingua for himself and some friends. So, he's fitting right in there down in Terlingua. That's Wrangling Ron in the middle there, by the way. Just a couple of weeks ago. Alrighty, let's see. What do we got now? Oh, we got 195 people watching and 183 likes. That's a pretty good percentage. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you doing that. Appreciate Karen, man, in the chat rooms on Facebook and YouTube. I know she's busy up there in the main house. All right, we're going to go from something kind of silly to something a little more poignant. We got a very poignant letter from a gal named Catherine Todrick. Catherine is going through a hard time, and she's looking to turn things around. She asked to hear this song called Lost that I wrote with the late, great Kent Finley. If you don't know Kent, Kent was a singer-songwriter from San Marcos, Texas, owner of the club Cheatham Street Warehouse. He was a champion and benefactor of singer-songwriters coming up through the ranks in Central Texas for many, many years, from the 70s into the 2000s.
People like George Strait got his first gig with Kent Finley at Cheatham Street Warehouse. Todd Snyder learned from the master. Terry Hendricks, myself, James McMurtry, Randy Rogers, Adam Carroll, the list goes on and on and on. Kent was a real pillar of the community, the songwriting community. We all got together and made a tribute album to him a couple of years ago. I contributed this song. Wait a minute, I've got to get the other guitar. A song called Lost that we wrote back in the mid-1990s, I think. And I need the lyrics for this one. It's been a long time. So I played this song, Lost. Let's see. I think it's in this key. Again, this goes out to Catherine Todrick. When the sun's hanging low on the horizon and your bones feel the coming of the frost, you'll know just how far a soul can travel down the wrong road before you even know you're lost. You wake up in the dark and shuffle on to a job that drags you down year by year. You work so hard you never noticed how you work to hide the doubt and numb the fear. But time will not stand to be cheated, and when he catches up to you, he won't be kind. You'll remember the life you used to dream of, then you'll know that time was never on your side. When the sun's hanging low on the horizon and your bones feel the coming of the frost, you'll know just how far a soul can travel down the wrong road before you even know you're lost. All those years, how you dreamt of your Prince Charming, you never thought he'd fail to appear. Dressed in white, you sat there and waited. All the days turned into months, turned into years. From the window you watched the children playing. The cool autumn nights are getting long. The bows don't come knocking any longer. Roses fade with memories when the summer's gone. When the sun's hanging low on the horizon and your bones feel the coming of the frost, and you know just how far the soul can travel down the wrong road before you even know you're lost. Alrighty. Song I wrote with old Kent Finley. Going to do a song written by the great Karen Poston. One of the most requested songs of my entire career is this song, Lydia, that Karen wrote, inspired by the life of her grandmother, who was married to a coal miner in Western Virginia. I mentioned a couple of months ago that Karen is facing some really hard times right now. She was diagnosed with the breast cancer that killed her mother and her aunt. It was found early, and she had surgery, which went well initially, but some complications developed. But she's finally got her strength back, and she starts chemo on Monday, I believe. So she's still got a long road ahead of her and lots of bills to pay. I'm going to put up GoFundMe stuff for Karen here. If you just Google Karen Poston GoFundMe, it's an easy way to chip into her medical costs, her medical expenses. And if you can't chip in, if you chipped in already, thank you so much. I think you can just leave a message of encouragement to her. She needs it. She's going through a really rough time. And we'll send out our healing powers to Karen Poston. Oops, this is the wrong guitar for this song. Oh, I think it could be okay. I think it'll be okay. Liddy lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. She lives in the old place all alone, keeps in touch with neighbors by the phone, grows roses on the graves of her firstborn and his father, and the coal trucks never bother her. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. A cotton dress and satin shoes, Indian summer sun dressed in amber hues, spending time with a coal miner's son to an old-time fiddle tune. The months flew by just like a breeze that year. They wed in June, and by the fall the boy was here. Word come down from Big Stone, there's a fire in the mine, and 11 men they couldn't find. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. She watched them pull him from the hole. The overalls he wore were blackened by the smoke. Liddy twice had had this dream, and twice it had come true. And when she saw his father's boots, she knew. Oh, Liddy, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. Liddy lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. Yeah, that was a little low. I gotta switch guitars. Hold on just a second, everybody. Excuse me. That's some song. Once in a while, I get still choked up getting through that one. I'm going to do another song I wrote with Rod Picott, my old friend from South Berwick, Maine. Actually, we're going to do two songs in a row that were written with Marshwood High School graduates. I'm going to do Primer Gray now. This goes out to, oh, wait a minute. Lydia went out to Trish Ann and to Barb from her brother John. Sorry, I forgot. Almost forgot you guys. Trish Ann and Barb is who we played Lydia for today. And Primary Gray goes out to Teresa S., or is it Teresa? And Todd Sinclair. I believe he was the first person to order the songbook. He was on the mailing list, And when we sent the mailer, he opened it up right away, and within a couple of minutes, he was the first guy to order the songbook. So that's why you got to be on the mailing list, folks. I think I'm right about that. All right, we're going to do Primer Gray now. Under 90 of you still watching. Bless your hearts. Thanks for hanging with me live, everybody. And to those of you in the future, I'm so glad you're joining us on the replay. I'll bet our friend Tomoko in Japan is watching in the future. Tomoko, good to see you. I pull the engine with a blocking chain. Got the oil pumping just before the rain. In the gravel drive, it's a Pontiac. Come the weekend, you'll find me at the track. It's a 74, Dad bought it new. Still mostly stock, and it's rusted through. I only worry about what's underneath. What she looks like don't mean a damn to me. 'Cause you don't need that flash and shine. You just need to be hard off the line. So keep your lacquer, your chrome and flames. I'll paint mine primer gray. Some men are rich, and they'll let you know. Some guys act tough, it's all a show. I know the things men hold inside are all about the same when you turn out the lights. And you don't need that flash and shine. You just need to be hard off the line. So keep your what? Keep your lacquer, your chrome and flames. I'm getting tired. I'll paint mine primer gray. Dad was pretty fast back in the day. Bring that trophy home now, Mama used to say. They sit there on the shelf, gathering dust. Luck turns to loss, and chrome to rust. I've got that car, detailed and tuned. My boy's 16. He'll be driving soon, but he won't drive that old 74. Kids today, they all want something more. But you don't need that flash and shine. You just need to be hard off the line. So keep your lacquer, chrome and flames. I'll paint mine primer gray. It's what you do, not what you say. I'll paint mine primer gray. Primer Gray, written by myself and Rod Picott. The other Marshwood High alum that I write songs with once in a while is Nicole St. Pierre. I hope you're watching and having fun, Nicole, and the gang. This goes out to Mike Mullen, Alan in Maine, and who sent us some really cool Maine t-shirts. Thanks, Alan. And Robert, and I know that Richard Smart likes this one. He's a frequent tipper and a frequent viewer of the live streams. We appreciate your support, Richard. This song called Gone that Nicole and I wrote together a few years ago.
on 12 and she was just 9, chasing around her little valentines with the devil dancing in the... Oh, I'm sorry. I need a little sip of something, just a little water. I'm starting to get tired. I was going on 12 and she was just 9, passing around her little valentines with the devil dancing there in her eyes, teasing someday she would be my bride. I said, you're just a little girl, now go on. And as soon as I turned around, there she was gone. There she was gone. Started thinking about her night and day. I was singing a young love song. There she was gone. We're out of school now and she's my girl, but a restless soul needs to see the world. I searched for a promise in those dancing eyes. Would she settle down by my side? She whispers in my ear, babe, you can't hold on. So I opened up my arms, and there she was gone. There she was gone. I was thinking about her every day. I was singing a lovesick song. There she was gone. Our mom and dad with a girl of our own, growing like a weed in this happy home. She's got that devil in her mama's blue eyes, but no one realizes how time flies. Until the house is still, no more little girl songs. One day we turned around and there she was gone. I'm an old man now, but she's still my girl. She spends her days in a long gone world. There's a darker devil hiding in her eyes, telling her she's someone else's wife. She looks at me and says, mister, what's wrong? And right before my eyes, there she is gone. There she was gone. I was searching for her every day. I was singing a worried man's song. There she was gone. There she was gone. I'll think about her all my days. I'll be singing an old love song. There she was gone. All right. Gone, going out to Mike Mullen, Alan in Maine, Robert and Richard. We're going to stay in the same key and do another pretty dark song here. I'm going to tell you just the basics of how this song came about. Wrangler Ron had a hand in this song when he was running a little ranch in Wimberley. I still lived in Austin, but Ron was down here in Wimberley, and he got in touch one time and said that his top ranch hand had broken down one night and revealed a harrowing tale, the story of how he came over the border from Mexico to Texas and how he could never go back to Mexico to see his family. And Ron thought it might make a really hard-hitting song. So next time Ron had a party at his house, Karen and I went down and we had a good time at the party. Ron's a wonderful host. He cooked up a mess of food for us. And at one point, Ron grabbed me and Armando, let's call him, took us out to the garage, and in hushed tones, in a very solemn little, I don't want to say ceremony, but event. What was it? It was just a situation. It was very sad and solemn and heavy. Armando relayed his story in Spanish, and Ron translated for me. I don't remember taking notes, but I must have, because almost everything in the song is built out of that situation, or that narration, that
testimony. That testimony, that's what it was. The song's called Borderline, and it goes out to Greg, Janet, Andre, and Jack from New Jersey. I believe that's the Wittenmeyer crew. And let's try doing this. If you listen to the song and have any questions about what's going on, I'll try to look at the chat after this song and answer any questions you have. This might not work, but I'll give it a try. A lot going on in this song. In the still of the desert, in the light of the moon, Armando walks all alone. And the river ahead holds promise and dread, and he's 900 miles from his home. He pays the coyotes, dodges the migra, walks for 4 hungry days. When he finally hits Austin, the boom town is bustin', but he takes what the contractor pays. When love for family is stronger than fear, and the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? And he crossed himself at the borderline. He wired the dollars to Elena back home, while he roomed with 10 desperate men. When the builders had enough, the INS cuffed him and is back to the border again. A tearful reunion with family and friends, but soon the reality sets in. There's no work to be found in the dry desert ground. He must head for Estados again. Now in from the west comes a man with no name. He says you can have all that you need. There's no contract to sign, but the terms are your life if you take my money and seed. When love for family is stronger than fear, when the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? And he crossed himself at the borderline. Payments were made, the seed it was sown. Armando watched the crop grow. Even his brother-in-law in the army was in on the plan from the go. 7 months gone and the crops gathered in, but the brother has a plan of his own. He orders a raid, the army invades, and they take what the village has grown. Comes the man with no name. He says someone must pay with their life. We know your brothers, your father, your mother, your children, your sister, your wife. Now we cannot touch your sister's young husband. Tukunyao is a military man. So you must decide who lives and who dies, and they placed a gun in his hand. When love for family is stronger than fear, when the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? And he crossed himself at the borderline. In the still of the desert, in the light of the moon, Armando walks all alone. And the river ahead holds promise and dread, and he's 900 miles from his home. Borderline. Let's see if I can take a look at the chat and see if there's anything I can answer. I don't see any specific questions about the song. I guess y'all know the song, you know the story. The sister should have been chosen. No, because the sister's husband was in the military, and he's the one that called the raid, and the military stole the crop that the village planted. So it wasn't her fault, it was his fault. Plus, he couldn't kill his sister. All right, glad we cleared that up. We're going to do a love song now. This song was requested by Sandy Mitchell, who, if it's the same Sandy Mitchell, I believe it's a friend from Charlottesville, Virginia, who helped us play a couple of shows there over the years. I sure hope we can come see you, Sandy, when the dust settles from all this. Come back to Charlottesville, a beautiful place. Also for Caitlin Conroy, who's been a fan of mine since the early days. She was one of 3 people at my first gig in Philadelphia. That was probably 1996 or 7, something like that. One of the other 2 people was Michaela Majoon, the DJ from WXPN. She was a big supporter in my early years, but Caitlin has been at a lot of shows at the Tin Angel and other places in that area. I'm so glad that she's still in the fold, still coming to the live streams. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you for requesting a song off the latest record, which is going to be 4 years old pretty soon. That's why I have to take next month off to do some songwriting. You're not asking for diamonds. You don't want furs. You don't dream of silver and gold. All you're asking is to be cherished, to be held and to hold. You don't need me to come round solving your problems. You need more than blankets in the cold. And all that you want is a chance to get closer, to be held and to hold. To be held and to hold is all that you ask. And still some days I fail at the task. And all that you want is a chance to get closer, to be held and to hold. I walk around blindly, I bumble along. In my heart I know that I'm wrong. It's a cold consolation, I'm sorry again. One more time the same story told. And all that you want is a chance to get closer, to be held and to hold. To be held and to hold is all that you ask. And still sometimes I fail at the task. And all that you want is a chance to get closer, to be held and to hold. And all that you want is a chance to get closer, to be held and to hold. Well, a little love song as we approach the end of the show here. Just a few more songs. Thanks for hanging with me all the afternoon here Sunday. Gonna do the Texas love song now. This is for Chuck Connor. He's been requesting throughout the year. Thanks, Chuck, for sticking with us throughout the pandemic. Let's see. This is one of my favorite pieces of art that favorite gifts that I've received while on the road is this tapestry of the Texas love song. I'll show you a close-up of it. I think it was people in Maine, when we're on the road in a different town, a different hotel every day, if you give us something on the road, we usually lose it. We were very careful not to lose this beautiful piece of art that someone gave us, I think in Maine. If you're out there, please send us an email and let you know so we can thank you properly. I'm going to do the Texas Love Song, which has been a favorite song a popular song in Texas. People love it in Texas. Oklahoma, not so much, but outside of Texas, people get a kick out of this goofy thing. But I'm guessing a lot of people don't know who Matson is. Matson on the radio, playing Robert Earl and Billy Joe. Well, there's Matson right there on KNBT FM, New Braunfels Radio, contrary to ordinary. Matson was one of the pioneers of the Americana music format. And he played me right off the bat, starting in the late 1990s, 96, 97. He played the No Angel Knows record. Had me on in the studio live many times. He's a mensch. He's so good to me and all my fellow singer-songwriter friends. He does a He does a yearly Americana Jam at Green Hall and raises tons of money for the United Way and other charities throughout the year. If there's a flood, Matt's always there to help raise funds for the people who need it. I remember when he first started a show called The Full Nelson. That's a full hour of Willie Nelson every Sunday morning on KNBT FM, New Braunfels Radio. So that's who Matson is when you hear him in the song. He was my local DJ when I moved from Austin to Wimberley 10 years ago. He was my local station, my local DJ, and I was very tickled to choose him to put in the song to memorialize his service to the Central Texas music community. Thank you, Matson. Whoops, I don't need that. For you, I'd give up all my time, searching for the perfect rhyme, and this is one that certainly perplexes. For you, I would spend all my days thinking up all the crazy ways I love you, even more than I love Texas. You got Bel Air class, Dallas style, Austin soul, and a Luckenbach smile. For you, I'd trade my truck in for a Lexus. You smell as sweet as the piney woods. I'd marry you if I thought I could. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb on my wire, the spark in my campfire. There's no brighter star in all the multiplexes. I love this state, you know I do, but the best thing in this state is you. I love you even more than I love Texas. Your wit's as sharp as prickly pear. The sun shines in your golden hair. Your smile hits me right in the solar plexus. Skin is soft as early morning rain, temper like a Gulf Coast hurricane. I love you even more than I love Texas. From the mucky duck to the broken spoke, you know this state like an old cowpoke. You know where all the tastiest Tex-Mex is. You got Matson on the radio, playing Robert Earl and Billy Joe. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb on my wire, the spark in my campfire. Let's head out west where nobody can text us. I promise you I'll never cheat, or you can find me out in the old mesquite. I love you even more than I love Texas. And if you make me leave this state, well, I'll grow, but I won't hesitate. 'Cause I love you even more than I love Texas. Oh-de-lo-dee, oh-de-lo-dee-dee. Oh boy, voice is getting tired. 2 more songs, folks. Thanks for hanging with me. 2 more songs is all we got. Let's see. Oh no, sorry, 3 more. We're just getting the yodel broken in here. We got a yodel song called Horses that was inspired by sort of the Maine version of Wranglin' Ron. Willie Templeton, my parents' neighbor. Willie is another character that I like to hang around with a notebook because he says funny stuff. One One time I told Willie I was coming down with a sore throat. He said, well, you just need to gargle some kerosene, he said. And so when Willie came to have a drink at my folks' house when I was visiting back east 20 years ago, Willie came over for a drink, and I thought, well, this is my chance. And I asked Willie one question, and for the next few minutes, I started jotting things down. I met Willie by the still, he was brewing a batch. He had a short cigar, one last match. He was telling me about his latest troubles with the government. He had child support and alimony. He was looking depressed and kinda lonely, just trying to figure out where all his hard-earned money went. Well, I'll be go to hell, he said. I got nothing but a Ford in a barn full of hay. If it weren't for horses and divorces, I'd be a lot better off today. That's where I got my notebook out. Well, I said, Willie, that sounds like a song. He said, son, you know you may not be all wrong. Could you give me a little piece of the pie if you make it a hit? I got a 51 Ford I'd like to fix up. I got 2 sick ponies and 1 sick pup. And my 3rd wife's coming today to take my TV set. Well, I'll be go to hell, he said. I got nothing but a Ford and a barn full of hay. If it weren't for horses and divorces, I'd be a lot better off today. Oh-da-doo, oh-da-dee, hey-da-dee. Oh-da-doo, oh-da-dee, oh-ee-da-doo-dee, oh-dee-oh-dee. Oh-da-doo, oh-da-dee, oh-da-doo, oh-dee-do-do-dee. Well, God bless poor old Willie McCann. You know he's always been a good, hard-working man. He bought me a beer last night down at the Lost and Found. He said, horses and women are fine, sure enough, but if you don't treat them right, things are gonna get rough. Believe me, I got these 4-year marriages down. Well, I'll be go to hell, he said. I got nothing but a Ford and a barn full of hay. If it weren't for horses and divorces, I'd have a lot more money, less gray hair. I might even be a millionaire. If it weren't for horses and divorces, I'd be a lot better off today. Oh-da-doo, oh-da-dee, hey-da-dee. Old Willie Jr. from Bristol, Maine. He was in the crowd one time when I played that song, and he got up and started pointing at himself to make sure everyone knew that the subject of the song was In the House, Willie in the House. Well, Yodel feels a little tired towards the end of the second set here, but we got a birthday request for young Jack turning 14 today on the January 24th. Jack is having a birthday, his 14th birthday. Jack, I hope you're watching. Jack, I hope your 14th year is better than mine. 14 was a tough year for me. I think it's a tough year for a lot of people in between sort of childhood and early adulthood, or adolescence at least. If I had to give up a year, I think I'd give up 14. So I hope yours is much better, Jack. Good luck to you. Oh boy, Jack wanted to hear Rolling Stone from Texas, a masterpiece by the master himself, the late, great Don Walser. There he is in his prime. I'm going to switch guitars. Look at that cowboy hat, man. Is that a 10-gallon hat or what? Now, if we all miss Don Walser dearly, and I miss that hat, but you know what? If you watch Austin City Limits this weekend, Ray Wiley Hubbard making his Austin City Limits debut in the band is Gurf Morlix playing bass. And Gurf is wearing that hat on Austin City Limits this weekend. The hat lives on, and Don's music lives on. This is Don playing with his band out in West Texas, probably around the time I was born, about early 1960s. There's a picture of Don when he was sort of reaching his peak on the cover of the local weekly magazine, the Austin Chronicle. It was right around then that Don got the gig opening up for Johnny Cash at the Frank Irwin Center, the big arena in town. And I went to see it. I went just on the spur of the moment. I got a ticket on the street. I got the 6th row. I watched Don. It was glorious. He was solo, and he was beaming happy. And his wife, Pat, was in the audience with a Playboy magazine because Don's debut CD, put out when he was 60 years old, was reviewed in Playboy magazine, and the reviewer gave him the moniker Pavarotti of the Plains, and that stuck. That's a perfect moniker for great old Don Walser. It turns out I had a friend who worked at the Irwin Center, and she got me backstage, and I got to shake the Man in Black's hand in, I think that was 1994 or 95, something like that. Look at how black my hair is back then. All right. That was a pretty wonderful moment. All right, we're going to try to do Rolling Stone from Texas, Don Walser's song. All right, I'll be tipped because you might not want to tip after this song. This could go horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a rolling stone from Texas. I'm a rolling stone from the plains. I'm a rolling stone from Texas, boys. I long to be back there again. We'll say, are you from Texas? That's what I'm wanting to know. 'Cause if we're both from Texas, boys, let's bundle up our clothes and go. Oh, loo-dee-dee, oh, lady, oh, loo-dee-dee, oh, lady, oh, loo-dee-do-dee-do-dee, oh, loo, oh, loo, oh, loo-dee-do-dee. They say a rolling stone never gathers no moss as long as it's rolling along. Well, I don't care if I gather any smoke, if it's in my Texas home. I've got a little gal a-waiting. Her name is Patricia J. And I'll never be happy until I'm by her side, way out on those West Texas plains. Oh, loo, oh, lady, oh, loo, oh, lady, oh, loo. Oh man, ouch. Oh, I hurt myself. Come on, Slaid, you can do it. One more song. We're going to do one more song, folks. Oh, we're back up to 200 for that one. All right. 200 likes. Everybody, thank you so much. That's a Don Walser song. Happy birthday, Jack. Thank you, Karen, for doing the chat here, keeping up with folks, answering questions. Thank you all for keeping things lively. Just a note, if you want to get a request next time, it's best to get on the mailing list. And then when we send you an email, you just reply with the particulars, who you want to dedicate the song to, their song, or whatever, your name. That's the best way. Or you can go to Slaid.com, over to the contact page, and ask Slaid a question. Get your request in that way. Chat is not a good, because sometimes it disappears, and I can't. I'm going to try to watch the chat tomorrow to say hello to everybody a day late, but it's not very reliable. Let's see. I'm going to do one last song by request. This was requested. I just want to do a shout out to a bunch of people sent in requests in the last few days that I couldn't get to. Go for the Gold for Jesse and Maxine. They've been frequent supporters. Green Mountains and Me for Ryan in the Bristol, UK. Working Stiff for Buck Edwards and Donald Perez. We'll try to get those next time in March. Broke Down, Welding Birds for Alan in Maine. Hard to Believe for Chris. We'll get you next time, guys. All right, this next song is requested by Andrew Gilmore, wanted to hear This Land Is Your Land, which we heard performed on the Capitol steps a few days ago, and that made me very happy. I got to play this song with Jimmy LaFave's Ribbon of Highway, Endless Skyway package tour, and we got to play it. It was done soon after 9/11, and actually added an extra verse for 9/11. We had a gig. We were scheduled to play on 9/11 in 2001 in Berkeley, California, and on the road on the trip to the gig said we're gonna do the show as long as they don't close the Golden Gate Bridge. We were coming from Northern California. And we listened to NPR radio all day, soaking in the tragedy and the misery of the day, the sadness and the tragedy. And I thought, well, what will my heroes do? Should I play? Should I not play? And I thought about Woody Guthrie. What would he do? And I knew what he would do because of this book that Karen gave me that we started this show with. In this book, there's all sorts of stories about how Woody, when World War II started, after Pearl Harbor, Woody sort of updated all his songs to be sort of supporting the war effort. So I decided the show must go on, and I wrote a new verse for This Land Is Your Land. And it was very poignant for a couple of years, and as 9/11 faded away, the verses didn't seem that relevant, but unfortunately, they seem relevant again. Oh, by the way, check this out. I gotta switch guitars. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me the endless skyway. I saw below me the old golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I've rolled and rambled, I've followed my footsteps through the sparkling sands of our diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. Sing along now. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. What a heart of darkness inside a man can send his hatred clear across the land. But hatred fails when as one we stand. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. Oh, we made it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on the live stream. Thank you for listening and watching in the future. Who knows how long we'll have it up on the YouTube page, the Facebook page. Thank you, Karen. Thank you all for the tips. I'm going to put up the tip jar for just a minute before I end the stream and say hello to a few people in the chat. Thank you all so much. We'll see you in March. I'll have some new songs. Fingers crossed. Some world debuts, I hope. All right, take care.